After over 3 years of development and more late nights than I can count, you can finally play my game, The Hero of Pixel Spire. The game itself is still being developed, but on Steam right now, I've launched a public demo. The demo is 100% free, and it'd mean the world to me if you want to check it out and show your support. But for now, let's talk more about the devlog side of things, because since last update, I've added so much new content. There's a new fire biome, a new class, curse spells, skins, traps, and that's just naming some of the changes since the last devlog. All of these changes took the form of 2 massive updates. Since it's much easier to break it up into what those 2 updates consisted of and work towards what the game looks like now, we'll go with that. So let's start off with the first update, the fire biome update. In this update, you guessed it, I added an entirely new fire biome to the game. This is actually the 3rd area so far, coming right after the ice biome. The official title is the Fiery Fortress, and outside of the new visuals, the main thing that sets this area apart are the lava pits scattered throughout. This new stage hazard not only deals damage, but it can be quite treacherous for both friend and foe alike. Speaking of, there are all new enemies for this biome. To go quickly through them, we have the Fire Knight, the Will-O-Wisp, the Jester, the Cinderseer, and the Infernabomb. As always, each enemy has its own unique attack pattern and is ramped up in difficulty from the previous biome. At the end of the Fiery Fortress, we also have a brand new boss, the Infernal Warden. I'll leave some surprises for now, as the boss is best experienced hands-on, but let me just say I had a blast creating him. Outside of the fire biome, which adds 1/3 extra length to the game, I also tweaked a bunch of gameplay stuff, added some new option settings, a bunch of new spells, traps, this Easter Vanity Hat, a couple new perks, and the Monolith of Chaos. In that list, the only thing that really needs a solid explanation is probably the monolith. But first, it's probably important to talk about why the monolith even exists, as it'll also help you to understand some of the choices I made. So even though the game is already really fun, I was feeling a major lack of choices. Each run was starting to feel kinda samey, and clear-cut builds were starting to evolve. In order to mitigate that from happening, over the course of the next 2 updates, I wanted to make sure I could give a way for more build progression, interesting interactions, and overall run uniqueness. Even the addition of the traps and explosive barrels, which I briefly mentioned earlier, help in this regard. Ground enemies can be hit by traps, and not only are enemies damaged by the explosive barrels, they can even set them off themselves. With that explanation out of the way, let's focus back on the monolith. The core idea was actually pretty simple. Allow the players to interact with the monolith, and if they did, make it do something interesting. Sometimes it'll take all but 1 health, sometimes it'll spawn a bunch of enemies around you, and sometimes it can even give you a pile of gold. The most interesting thing though is the introduction of cursed spells. These spells can only appear from the monolith, and although each one is objectively good, they also come with a massive downside. Take this Summon Fire Demon spell for example. You can summon a really strong fire demon that throws fireballs at nearby enemies. Awesome. Although the downside is in order to summon him, it costs 10 max mana, which if you haven't played is actually pretty substantial. Or what about this Bloody Needle spell? It quite literally does the most amount of raw damage in the game, but it hurts you every time you use it. These are just a couple examples of what the curse spells are like. Each spell shakes up the gameplay in a big way. It's also worth mentioning that the monolith is chance-based, so who knows, it's possible to encounter one on the first floor and decide that you want to make the curse spell a focal point of your next build. With that being said, that's most of the major points for the fire biome update. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. This update is hands down the biggest one so far, with quite literally hundreds of changes to gameplay, a new class, the skin system, more perks, and of course, lots and lots of polish. When setting out on this update, I was on a mission to get things ready for the public demo release. I knew I not only wanted to add more of those elements we were just talking about, but to really take a step back and refine everything done up to this point. I reached out to friends, family, and strangers alike, and tried to get as much feedback as possible. From all this, I gained so much insight, and unfortunately, I figured out I still had so much work to do. Whether it was just small sound level adjustments, new UI animations, or even tightening up the movement, there was an elaborate amount of polish put into this update, not to mention bug fixes and, you know, everything else. I keep saying polish this and polish that, and it's really quite an umbrella term to use. So to bullet point a few changes, we have boss trophies, enemy corpses, animation speed tied to movement speed, flawless lore reward adjustments, colored orbs now spin around the teleporter during events, we have new HP and MP bars, bar easing, open animations on all the UI, and even extra hover options options, just to name a few. It would take me all day to just list them off, so let's just move on to some of the more bigger features added to the game instead. So let's go ahead and talk about a big brand new feature, masks. In order to obtain a mask, you first need to unlock a new mysterious door that can be found on some of the floors. When the doors open, a small hidden area is now opened up, and a mask can be found in the center. When equipping the mask, it grants the player a brand new unique ability. Take this slimy mask for example. By equipping it, there is now a chance that a friendly slime can appear when an enemy is defeated. It goes without saying that only one mask can be equipped at a time, and wearing a new one replaces the old one. I won't say what each mask does, but boy does it feel good when you get one that synergizes well with your current build. Moving on from masks, I also went ahead and removed boss spell drops and instead made them add themselves to the spell shop upon the first clear of the boss. Usually they can be found in these transition rooms, but instead in their place is now a stone ruin. Going up to the ruin makes it glow, and once you inspect it, you get a choice of a brand new boss perk. These perks are only good for the run and are themed to the boss itself, whether it's an ice damage buff from Icy Exile or the Blade Laceration perk from Tiki Mask. Each boss perk is randomly chosen from a pool of potential ones, with the option to unlock an extra choice depending on if you flawless the boss or not. It's worth noting you can only have one boss perk equipped at a time, so choose carefully. Another big feature added in this update is class skins. I've been wanting to implement them for such a long time, but I knew just how much work adding them was going to be. The idea behind unlocking a skin has always been to make it entirely achievement based. So for example, defeat a certain amount of enemies with a specific spell as a specific class, and voila, you are now unlocked a brand new skin. I went ahead and added a brand new skin for every class in the game so far, with the ability to easily add more skins later on down the line. Which reminds me, if you have an idea for a cool skin, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you come up with. With skins now added in the game, I figured it was about time I added a new class entirely, and I went ahead and added the Gunner. The Gunner is a damage dealing range class designed to be more elusive and played a little bit further back. Their primary attack is, you guessed it, a gun. Their secondary is a cool bunny themed turret which I named Bum Bun. As with every class, each spell is upgradable and can unlock an even bigger and better version. By design, the Gunner is a pretty squishy class, and the idea is to let your turret deal most of the damage while you take pot shots at enemies from a distance. Honestly, without just listing a massive bullet point list, these are some of the more interesting changes so far. It's also worth noting that after the release of these two updates, I implemented even more changes suggested by the playtesters and put several weeks worth of work into the demo release specifically. Looking back on the game, I can't believe just how far it has come. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you, seriously. If you want to support the game, wishlist it on Steam, try out the free demo, or join the Discord to become a playtester. Your feedback so far has genuinely shaped this project, and with that, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.
Monolith of Chaos.